Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is said to have many different twists and turns, as well as revelations in this film by Disney, Lucasfilm, JJ, and crew, that's going to make us view the past 8 Star Wars movies in a different light. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So as we get closer to the release of this movie with each and every month that passes by, a lot of fans, including myself, am of course getting very excited about Episode 9 and exactly where it's going to leave the Star Wars franchise and what possibilities will be made for the future of the franchise by Disney and Lucasfilm. Now, what's really interesting has all to do with Emperor Palpatine ever since his laughter was heard at the very end of the first teaser over at Star Wars Celebration. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very intense for Episode 9, involving Rey, her father, and even Darth Sidious. Now, specifically, what's really interesting is that a description of both Kylo Ren and Rey in a standoff with the Dark Acolyte, who holds a connection to the spirit of Sidious. It's described that eventually the Dark Acolyte and his mind begins to shift to Palpatine, where Palpatine begins to give a lecture to both Kylo and Rey while they are put into a Force freeze. One of the sequences are said to involve Palpatine resting his hand on Rey's head, where Palpatine reveals that it was her father who discovered the exact location of the Beyond and the key to eternal life. Additionally, it's described that Rey's father helped develop the Palpatine clones that were stored within a laboratory on Jakku that Luke Skywalker eventually destroyed during the Battle of Jakku, and so Sidious reveals to Rey that her father tried to hide the location of the Beyond and failed, and that her father is not who she thinks he is, and that she is in for a rude awakening, and that everything is not what it seems. It's said that Rey is in complete shock during the sequence where Kylo is witnessing all of this happen while he is behind Rey and also in a Force freeze position by Palpatine himself. So I want to go over a couple of parts about this because we do know that Episode 9 is going to have a lot of reveals and twists and turns that's going to make us examine The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in a different way. So what do I think about the whole entire Sidious and Rey dynamic here, especially his connection to Rey's father? Now, you guys may or may not know, but if you guys have read some of the books and or novels out there, we do know that Palpatine had a great interest in the world of Jakku, and that there was the Jakku Observatory that was actually a part of Jakku, and we also had a laboratory on there, right? A laboratory that once belonged to Palpatine. Now we do know that that actually had something to do with Palpatine clones. However, those clones were a failure because Luke Skywalker destroyed each and every one of them, giving us a direct callback to exactly what happened in the EU when Luke Skywalker destroyed all the clones except one. However, in this scenario, Luke was successful at destroying each and every one of them, where Palpatine was forced to find another way to eternal life, and that is of course the use of using his spirit into the Dark Acolyte's body. Now, Rey's father is said to be alive, as we went over a couple of weeks ago about Luke's reveal to Rey about her father. Very interesting indeed. It makes one wonder exactly, who her father really is. Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy in this story? We're not quite sure yet, but we do know that JJ Abrams confirmed over at Star Wars Celebration that there is a whole lot more to the story about Rey's parents and specifically her father, so a lot of people are really looking forward to that and a lot of closure to happen in Episode 9 involving that segment of the Star Wars franchise. As for Darth Sidious, putting both Kylo and Rey into a Force freeze state, that's a very interesting piece because now they are forced to listen to Sidious and his lecture and what he has to say, and he's resting his hand on Rey's head for some reason, most likely to show her the truth about Rey's father perhaps, or maybe he's manipulating Rey because he does indeed go over how Palpatine says to Rey that everything is not what it seems and that Rey is in for a rude awakening. Now that to me is very interesting. Could that very well mean that Palpatine is hinting that he created Rey, or maybe that Rey's father is not exactly her real father, quote unquote, like a blood father or an actual relative? That is a very big possibility as well, that she was just adopted. I've been actually implying that these past couple of months, give or take, that there's a great possibility that her parents right, are not actually her parents, and that maybe she was created by someone or something. That's another big thing here. But as far as everything else goes, Rey's father helping out Palpatine and helping him basically create the clones of Darth Sidious that were ultimately defeated and destroyed by Luke Skywalker is a very interesting side to the story here that I think will be more explored in greater depth in the forms of novels and books and stuff around those lines that take place before the events of the sequel trilogy that will be in the form of other canon material by Disney and Lucasfilm. So look forward to that. As far as everything else goes, this sounds like a very interesting point in time in which Palpatine is delivering all these different revelations to Rey and Kylo Ren before their lightsaber duel resumes. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.